This is what a shock is not supposed to sound like. So let's fix it. Hey folks, we are back with another video. Today we're going to be working on a Fox Factory Float DPX2 Evol rear shock. So I don't know the full history of this shock. Obviously it has aesthetic issues. There are some chips on the damper body, but most importantly there is a grinding noise in it when I put it on the dyno, so that's not right. We're going to fix that. So the goal of this video is to completely take this thing apart and put them back together. Not a hard job. Personally, I find these piggyback shocks easier to work on than the inlines, right? I don't have to worry about all these little parts and pieces and O-rings that go into these little miniature areas, and the bleed process on these, personally, I find a little bit easier. So what we're gonna do is record this in small step-by-step chunklets in order to make it as easy as possible for people to follow, because I am more than confident that you could do this full job on your own, all right? So we are going to need tools to get it done, and that's what we're going to go over next. So as you can see, there's a few tools that are going to be needed for this job, right? Now, the most important of all these tools is this guy right here. So we're dealing with shocks. You definitely want to wear safety glasses when working on a shock, especially when we're dealing with filling it up, because this is Fox. They don't have valves. They use nitrogen needles in order to pierce the pellet, in order to get air in them using a shock pump, right? And these things could be dangerous. Absolutely use glasses, safety glasses, when working with this nitrogen needle. Do not forget that, okay? So, as for the rest of the stuff, you're gonna need a vise for this job. Doesn't have to be a big one. I'm gonna use my big one only because it's easier to frame in a video. A small one would do. 3.5 inch vise, 2.5 inch vise, more than enough, right? But soft jaws, in order to protect the shock, that's a really good thing. In particular, soft jaws with a flat end, right? That's a minimum. So chances are you're going to need strap wrench in order to remove the canister. Then we need to, after we remove the air, we're going to need to remove the pellets. And by pellets, I mean these guys here and here. And two ways to do it. You could pick at it, or try and wedge this thing in there as hard as you can. If you do, make sure you have a very strong pick, okay? Because this will bend backwards. Those things are in there snug, to say the least. So what you can do also is grab a drill with a small drill bit and drill a hole on the side right at the edge. We'll go into that later, and then use the pick to pop it out, right? Make life a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient. We're gonna need, well, picks, right? I like these little flat picks. They help with seals, basically. I like them a lot when it comes to working on shocks and forks, right? So this isn't an absolute necessity, but it could make life a little bit easier, and it's cheap. This is a 5/16 24 thread, not a 5/16 18, which is more common. It's a 5/16 24 bolt, basically used to take out the IFP, make life a little bit easier, right? If you could get it fully threaded, I would. I couldn't find it, basically, so I still haven't been able to find one. Maybe you can. It just makes gripping onto a little bit easier without slipping around, especially when your hands are oily and greasy, right? You get this from any local hardware store. Don't buy Foxes. You're going to pay a lot of money for nothing. This should cost you less than $1, probably between 50 cents and $1 max, okay? And you don't need no fancy metal for that. So we're going to need a plier. Once we get into the piggyback, we're going to need a 22mm wrench in order to separate the damper body from the top of the shock top, basically. And then you're going to need a canister to put oil in, right, when you empty out the damper body. After we're done, we're going to need a 22mm crowfoot to screw in, or to tighten the damper body down to the shock body, basically, right? We are going to need a ratchet. Now, we're going to need sockets, basically, a 17mm socket, 11mm socket, and a 9mm socket. One of them is only needed if you're going to take apart your controls, basically, along with the controls. These aren't needed. This is optional, fully optional. There are two Fox-specific tools in order to be able to completely take out the entire assembly in here, which I will do in this video. You do not have to. In fact, don't even bother taking out the inside, especially if it's your fork or your shock and you know everything about that shock. I'm going to take it out, basically. These two tools Part numbers are as is seen over here, FX2351, FX2350 basically, right? So, optional, not needed. IFP depth tool, not needed technically, but it definitely makes life easier, right? You can use a caliper, which I should have had it out here. So you could use a caliper and not have to buy this tool, okay? So FYI on that one. Now, I never take out shim stacks without a tie wrap. Absolutely always take out shim stacks with a tie wrap. You don't want this thing going wrong or losing shims all over the place, right? And then having to figure out the order. You're gonna need a 1.5 millimeter Allen only if you want to separate, if you want to open up your dials, right? You don't have to technically, but if you want to, you're gonna need a 1.5 millimeter. Then when it comes to closing everything, well, the bleed process, right? Shipping tape or any kind of tape that sticks to metal, basically. What I do with this, I'll show you later, but essentially I create a longer funnel over here to make the bleed process a lot easier. I love doing it like that. Next, when it comes to filling up the shock with air again, right? This is Fox. We need nitrogen needles. There's two options here. One, you could go out there and buy the tool that Fox sells, right? There's aftermarket ones as well that they sell them for much less. Essentially, this goes into the head over here, the retaining bolt, and then you take the needle and you put it into the hole and you fill it up with air, right? Or if you don't want to buy this, grab a 532, a 5/32 Allen, right? Grab a Dremel, cut a line right down the middle, right? Just like that, right down the middle. And then be very careful with these things, man, I'm telling you. I've actually had one go right through this finger, down right the middle. How it didn't get stuck in my bone, I have no idea. So basically what you do with that is you essentially create the same tool, right? And then it allows you to open and close. So those are two options. And while we're on it, you're gonna need nitrogen needles, plain and simple, because it's the only way to use a shock pump in order to get air in there, right? So you're gonna need a torque wrench in order to torque, well, the damper body down, and paper towels and alcohol, okay? And a shock pump, obviously. So that's pretty much all the tools we need. Now let's go over the parts needed in order to get the job done. As for parts needed, you're gonna need two seal kits, right? One's for the air can and the other one is for the damper body. So part numbers are there if you can see it. So for the air can, RS5732, and for the damper, it's gonna be RS9215. 5-weight oil is what Scott recommends, Fox recommends. Technically, they have an R3 5-weight. I'm going with this one. That's all I got right now. Now, this is optional. I am going to be changing the damper body because the other one does have a couple of chips. I wanted to change the IFP, but my local bike shop got me the wrong one. Not that they got me the wrong one, it's not their fault. This is the part number for the IFP, but they have two IFPs, one metal, one plastic, with the same part number. So I was too lazy to fix that. I'll probably use this in the future anyway, so I'm not changing the IFP, but I will be adding new screws, right, for the pellets, because the other ones are corroded. And ta-da, I'm gonna be changing out the stickers and freshening it up, making it look all nice and pretty, okay? Let's start taking apart a shock. Okay, so we have our vise set, shock in hand, right? So to start off with, we're gonna take our dials, we're gonna turn them both into the fully open position, right? So counterclockwise for the compression and counterclockwise for the rebound. Next, we wanna take out the air, okay? So to do this, unscrew, I gotta change my glove, didn't notice that. Unscrew the cap and then take a piece of towel, right, and put it in front of the valve. And the reason we do this, then grab like anything flat that could fit inside, like an Allen key or whatever, and basically slowly press down, right? We want to do this slowly, just like that. Don't do it fast. There's barely any air in this thing. So the reason we do it slowly is so oil mist won't come out and you breathe it in. That's really bad to breathe in, right? Let's try that one more time. Yep, I don't have any air in here. Cool. Next, we will remove the air can. To do that, put it in the vise, lock it down, grab our strap wrench. Now, one thing I want to mention, I probably should mention it now, make sure that when you put in the vise, don't hit the sides over here, right? Make sure you're on top of the eyelet over here, and on top of the eyelet over here, don't hit the sides. So again, just pay a little bit something small that is very easy to forget. Oop, there goes that plastic thing, which I'm throwing out anyway. So take our strap wrench, pull them up, and we push them down counterclockwise. There we go. Okay, now we're going to take a rag, just in case, even though we know in this case, but in your case, there might be pressure still in there, just to be able to control the air can as we're unscrewing it, so it doesn't completely force out and pop off, right? So there you go. So now I can take this off. Ooh, nasty. And we have our air can. I forgot to take off the sag meter. Take off the sag meter prior to taking off the air can. Ooh, that stinks, man. All right, so we removed the air sleeve. I cleaned out some of the oil. I just removed some of the oil from the inside, and I'm not going to clean it all up now. This thing's like super dirty inside. So I'm going to take them for now and put them on the side. Again, I'm going to break this in chunks where it's like a full damper service and just an air can service, right? We will deal with this later. On the side. Next, we want to take out the Delrin balls. Okay, now to do that, let's start off with this guy here. Flip the shock upside down. Now, man, this guy's eating up. So you could try and put a strong pick, watch you don't stab yourself in the process, and jab him underneath the side. But these could be really challenging. I can't stand them personally, so what you can do is grab a drill, not the greatest drill, but small, and a small sharp drill bit. To be honest, I don't know how sharp this drill bit is, right? Now don't drill all the way in. You do not want to puncture the pellet and have air just fly out. You just want to drill a hole. Just want to drill a hole deep enough where you can put the pick in and have some kind of leverage. And basically, oh man, this is a really...
One eternity later.
There we go. Jesus, man, this guy wasn't messing around. That's just nuts. All right, pellet out. Then we take that 5/32 that I told you to, even though this is a different one, that I told you to cut a hole in if you want to use it to fill air in. 5/32 Allen. We're going to take this guy, we're going to put him in. Then we're going to take a piece of towel again. Then we're going to slowly open them up and let the air out slowly. If there's even air in here, I have no idea. Yep, there's air in there. Hear them coming out. Slowly let them out. All right, make sure you use a towel, right? And we take out this screw. And I'm going to be tossing this one out. I have a replacement. You won't get a replacement in your kit. So I bought replacements, so I'm good. Okay, next we take out the pellet, right? Take a pick, try and put it on his side. This might be a pain in the butt. It's pretty deep in there. Right, take him, put him on his side, and then try and lift him out just like that. Nearly had him. Oop. There we go. Oh, nearly there. Come on. There we go. All right. And this pellet is out. Ta-da! Now, before we open this top, I want to alleviate pressure from the bottom as well. Okay? So now we're going to take this guy. I'm going to put him in here. Tie him down. Well, take out this Delrin ball. Technically, I don't need to do this. I'm removing this whole thing, really. But now, just be careful that you don't miss and hit your Kashima coating. There we go. Come on. That should do it. Should, in theory. I just need to get this. There we go. Oop, nearly there. One more shot. Oop. No, don't go back in. Come out. There we go. Done. These little guys, I swear, I can't stand them. Now again, we grab our 5/30 seconds. Piece of paper towel, let the air out. Okay, slowly. Okay, so no air. Good. Not like an inline IFP, but sometimes air goes from one side to the other one basically, and it could collect down here, so we're good. So I'm not going to take this guy fully out. All right, I'm just going to leave him in for now. I just wanted to make sure there was no pressure inside here before I open up the IFP. So now, back to the top. Put this guy up. Next, we're going to be removing the cap counterclockwise. Okay, put him on the side. Next, there's a retaining ring that's holding this cap. You can see it's slightly gold here, or bronze. We're going to press down that cap in order to expose it. Then you want to find the ends of the retaining ring and scoop them out, basically, right? There's going to be some pressure here, right? A little more pressure than I like. There's the retaining ring. Be very careful using a pick here. Just take it and sort of flip it out, just like that. Boom, done. Boom. There we go. Bring the whole thing out. Watch this cap doesn't pop up. Put the retaining ring on the side. Take this cap now. Grab a plier. IFP is underneath it. There we go. And that is our IFP. We'll remove that next. So one thing to note with this cap, you could either use a plier or you could use a bolt, that bolt that I mentioned before, that 5/16, 24, to pop it out, right? So anyway, this has an O-ring. We're going to change the O-ring on it and put it on the side for now, right? Next, what we can do is try and alleviate whatever pressure's in there. Grab a 2mm Allen and just move it around and make sure that there's no pressure in there, basically, right? So, all right. Technically, we could remove this and empty out oil as well if we wanted to. So for instance, grab plier and just wedge him out. There we go. And that is our IFP. Okay, we'll put him on the side. Now we grab our container. And let the oil out on this side, just to get it out of the way. Okay. Still going to be oil in the bottom that we're going to take care of right now. So Oil is out on that side. All right. Grab a towel. Clean them inside. All right. Put them on the side. Now, we're going to take the bottom, put it on the vise. Now we're going to watch out. There's no more oil coming out. That just might spill out from turning him upside down like that just did. Okay, we're going to put him in a vise. All right, now we're going to grab our 22 millimeter, and you will see right on the where the seals are over here on the top of the head. We're going to take them, turn them counterclockwise. There we go. All right, turn a little bit, then turn the rest by hand until he fully separates. Bad camera angle. Damn, should have put the camera down. But he's simple enough to understand. Then you put the whole thing, pull the whole thing up. And we are fully separated. We have our top half and we have the bottom half. Take this guy and we empty him out. Now in my case, I'm not using this guy over here. All right, but in your case, chances are you are going to use him. I'm replacing him. I got a new one, only because this one has a couple of chips in it, right? I'm going to clean out the oil. This oil stinks. Okay. And I'm going to put him on the side. So next, I had taken out or emptied out my seal case, the RS9215. This is the the shock rebuild kit, right? Not just the air can kit. This is the actual internals rebuild kit, and organized all my O-rings. We're going to start changing O-rings right now, right? So first we're going to take our IFP. And if you notice, there's an O-ring on the IFP. We're going to take this guy out. Okay. Put him on the side here for now. Clean the IFP, clean the channel. And then we're going to find the replacement. And looking at this one over here, they match. So that's my new one. I'll put the old one on the side. Now, we always want to grease. Apply a little bit of grease to O-rings before putting them on. Right? So we got grease. Take them. Boom. This guy's done. Next we grab the cap. Clean him a little bit. In fact, clean him real well before putting in the new O-ring, because this guy collects dirt on top. Okay. Ring on the side. Let's clean him up real good. Make sure there is no dirt sitting in this channel. Because, see what I mean? There's dirt on top on the threads. Try and get rid of that. In fact, where's my pick? Right here. Okay. That. Grab some alcohol. Spray them down. Clean them off. Grab a new rag. Very important that you get no dirt inside that reservoir, because you will scratch up those walls. And then you need a new reservoir. Okay, he's looking clean. So then we have our O-ring. Let's match him. Oh, it's this guy here. I happen to use him to retain. Throw the old one out. A little grease on him. Slide them back on. These guys are done. Okay. Let's just clean this guy underneath, make sure he's clean. And make sure there's no residue on this guy. All right. Next, we start disassembling the upper damper, the upper shock. Next, we're going to take out the piston. In order to do that, we need a 9mm hex and your tie wrap. Now, first loosen it with the ratchet, right? Make sure your flash ratchet is in the loosening position. Loosen it first, right? Then remove the ratchet and do it by hand. Now, be very careful. There's a bunch of washers underneath this nut, and they will stick sometimes, right? Just take the nut off, see what I mean? There's washers, they stick to it. Be very careful. Do this very, very slowly and make sure there's no nut stuck on this thing, right? So, or worst case scenario, you can leave it like this. Take your tire wrap, put it in, and lift the whole mechanism like that, right? Make sure there's no washers stuck here. In fact, there is a washer right here. And we know this one goes on the bottom. Okay. Boom. In fact, there's two washers down there. See what I mean? It's very deceiving. Very, very, very deceiving. Oh. Okay, I got to put this down because my fingernails can't get in there. So again, come on, where's my pick? There we go. Oh, and that's the last one. We said he goes on the bottom. So again, when removing, be very careful. That's why I like using tie wraps. I'm going to change this, so I'm going to have to take them apart, put them all in order, right? Make sure all my shims are in order. Again, there's a whole bunch of shims. You do not want to lose the order of those shims, okay? So just take them like this for now. Tie them up, and you know that you're in the proper order, okay? So it goes like that. We'll put him on the side for now. Next, we're going to take out the shaft, right? For this, we need an 11mm hex. Oh boy, and this can be problematic for me. There we go. Now, loosen it, let go, and do the rest by hand. Very careful. Okay, I should be able to lift the whole thing out just like that. All right, see the way it looks? This just goes in like that. Let's put this on the side. And we have an O-ring, our air sleeve piston, bottom up bumper, washer, we have another bumper. Actually, no, sorry, it's not a bumper. We have our, this guy has a token in him. So, get rid of him. There we go. In this case, I'm going to remove the token. All right, so now we have opened up our entire shock outside of the knobs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this stuff and change out the two seals and make sure I have them ready. The seals on this guy I'm going to do later, right, as part of the air can service. So let's just clean out the token, clean out all the old oil from this guy here. Okay. Now this guy's going to get swapped out. And that has to be him right there. So it's the old one, that's the new one. Okay, this guy too, he has a seal on the inside that we are going to have to change. The outsides, I'm going to change them later. In fact, he has two seals inside, but just clean them a bit first. Okay, so first we're going to start with this guy. Now inside, if you notice over here, he's got a seal. Go in there and pull him out. He could be a little bit tricky. These are real stiff, these white ones. There we go. All right. Grab them. All right. Then on the inside here, there's another seal. This is the seal that seals the bottom half from the top half. All right. So that's our two seals. Now let's clean them out real well. Okay, clean the inside well. Try and clean inside the channel if you can. Pick, clean any old oil, any old residuals that might be sitting in there. Okay, so now we find the replacements. That's one. Toss this guy out. And then this guy is this guy here. Yep. It's too small. Yep. It's this guy here. Actually, this is the old one. And this is the new one, right? Bit of a heat issue. Let's start over again. So we're going to put the white seal on the inside first, right? We're going to put grease on it. Now, what might help is put a little bit of grease inside the channel. Not much, but inside right in there. So the seal could stick to it a little bit easier, right? This is where one of these tools comes in handy actually, right? Okay, so grab this guy, put him in his seat, and keep him there. And then squish him down, and more of him will fall into his seat. Ooh, nearly had him. Come on. Come on. There we go. Boom. Done. There's our leftover grease. Okay. Wrap around. Put a little grease on him. And we are good. Now for this guy. He goes on the inside, underneath, right? Put a little grease on him. Find his channel. And pop him in there. Oh, sticky. Oh, come on, you just completely came out? You gotta give me a break. Okay. Oh, up in there. Done. Okay. So the insides are done. The outsides we're going to do later. All right. So we're going to take this guy. We're going to put him on the side. Now we have a seal inside here, right at the edge. Probably easier with this guy. There it is. Boom. And we will replace him, which is this guy right here. It's the old one. Put him on the side. Put a little grease on him. Let's clean the inside a bit, even though we cleaned him before. Put him in. Now we're going to take this guy, put him in a seat. Technically, he's also part of the 50-hour kit, but it's a lot easier doing them now. Okay, he's in on that side. He doesn't go all the way down. The seat is a few millimeters from the bottom. Oop, this side's not done. Come on, hop in there. There we go. Now he's in all the way. All right. So that takes care of the inside for now. Actually, let's swap this guy out. This is the old one. This is the new one. And I will take care of this head since I'm going to change mine. I'm going to take care of it later, right? This guy over here, there's nothing to do. If you want, you can give him a bit of a cleaning. And we will leave the rest right there. Next, we work on the dials. Next, we're going to take out the rebound knob. Now, technically, you can use your bottom out shim, right? You put it in between the body. There's nothing holding this down. There's no screw. It's literally held in place by a seal, right? And the seal's on the body. So you could force it out with this guy, but you could also bend this guy, right? I don't feel like bending him. Or you could use one of these tools, which is much more stiff and durable, right? And the whole idea is just slowly but surely just pry them open all the way around, side to side, until you get them off that seal. All right, oh, nearly there. Oh. And this guy should do it. There we go. Okay. So that's the inside. We'll put this guy here. And there is the seal that's literally holding him right here. So we're going to have to change this guy out. Okay, we'll put him on the side. Let's clean what we can over here for now. Let's change out this seal. Make sure you get the right one. It should be this one right here. It's the old one. That's the new one. And let's clean the inside of this guy here. Come. I hate that. All this time I still haven't found a new head. Bought a new head, right? Clean them well. And he is good. And that's our new seal. Just leave him on the side just like that. Next, we're going to take out the entire rebound mechanism. All right. In order to do that, you need that special tool from Fox. Okay. So this is an absolute necessity. Like again, this shock, I don't know anything about it. So I'm just going to go in there and just see if, well, change some seals actually and grease things up. All right. So take this guy, put him on, and be very careful unthreading him. Okay, there's a spring underneath. You don't want to lose them. One by hand. Very careful. There we go. All right. Take out the spring, put it on the side. Take him out, put him on the side. Okay. Now this guy here, we are going to clean him. So there is on the inside, as you see over here, another O-ring. So we're going to take out this O-ring. We're going to swap them out. That is this guy right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean this guy real well, because if you look inside, he's got a lot of dirt buildup on the inside. He might need a brush and alcohol. There's an O-ring on the outside and an O-ring on the inside. Let's grab paper towel. Like I said, this isn't hard. It's just a little bit of patience. It's not something we do every day. Okay. Clean the seat real well. Make sure the seat is really well cleaned here. All right. Okay. This guy is clean. So now we can put the O-rings back on. Right? So this was the O-ring. Well, actually not the same size. The bigger O-ring goes on the inside. So this is the inside, that's the outside. So the bigger O-ring goes on the inside. The smaller O-ring goes on the outside. All this O-ring does is literally hold the rebound knob, nothing more. Done. Cool. Okay, he's done. We're going to leave him next to a spring. Again, the spring goes in like that. All right. Just leave him here for now, just like that. Next, the compression knob. Now we have the compression knob. Now at the bottom, opposite of the handle, it's a 1.5 millimeter Allen. Okay. Just loosen it. Might have to do it this way. But do not unthread it. Just loosen it until the cap removes. Do not take out this screw. Should use my other handle. Just unscrew it until the cap comes off. Any looser. There we go. Okay. So this is our compression cap. So now let's clean. Now that we removed it, let's clean around it first. Okay. Cool. Next, to remove the mechanism. To remove the compression mechanism, we need a 17 millimeter socket. If you have chamferless sockets, that's the best, right? I got to grind these down one day. So, but yeah, just be careful if you don't have a chamferless socket, right? So essentially, hopefully we could do it. There we go. I'm going to take them and be very careful. There's a spring underneath. Okay. Do the rest by hand. And be very careful lifting them up. Okay? Come on. All right, there's the spring underneath. Now we have a gasket in here we need to change. All right, so let's take this gasket out. Let's get back to it. Another camera overheat. So we cleaned this guy out, cleaned them real well on the inside, all the way around. This was the old gasket. We're going to replace him with the new one, which is right here. Put a little grease on him. And put him on. He goes on the inside. Okay. Now let's clean the inside of this cap as well, since we're at it. A little bit of alcohol on him. Okay. And that guy's done. All right. So make sure everything's clean. Now let's take out our spring. Very careful with them. Just like the rebound, he goes on the inside. Just like that. All right. Leave them on the side. Now, next, you don't have to do this. In fact, don't do it. But I'm going to do it because I've never done it before, and I figured why not, right? I don't know anything about this shock, so I'm going to take out the core, and there is a special tool needed for that, right, in order to be able to get it done. So we will be back right after the camera cools off. To remove the core, or the base valve, what they call it, essentially you need a special tool. Don't buy this. You don't have to do this, really. I'm just going to do it, just show you guys, and just so I can see more than anything, just to make sure everything's all kosher with this shock, right? So I'm not replacing it, but I'm just going to take it out and put it in. So, all right. So basically we take that tool, we put it on the compression side. This is the compression side. All right. Hopefully it's, wow, that came out pretty easy. Thought it was going to take more force than that. And that is the entire head disassembled. All right. So that's our base valve. So now I could take this guy out, and I could make sure he is thoroughly cleaned, and there's nothing inside anywhere. What I should have done is not put that O-ring in there. In fact, I should take them out and basically spray them all down with alcohol. I'm going to do that. The thing is, I need to make sure this guy's got a clean surface for now. So that's what I'm going to do. Cool. I don't have any more O-rings in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to completely clean this guy out with alcohol, inside out. And there is a little corrosion over here, and I'm going to try and scrape that off as well. All right. But ultimately, that is a completely opened head to a DPX2. The whole top of the part of the shock is disassembled. All right, so I cleaned it all up, inside and out, and I replaced the sticker on the outside. Might have put a little bit too low now that I look at it, but it's all good. It's centered. So next, back to finishing this thing up. So we are going to put in the inner core back into its spot. And once again, we are going to need the tool, right? So this is the inside, this is the outside. Okay, and the way it goes, it just goes in just like that. Doesn't look like anything needs to be greased on this thing. So we're going to first put them in by hand. Okay. Oops, not two. And then we got to torque them down. And we're going to have to torque them down to 12.4 Newton meters. All right. First, let's do them a little bit by this guy. There we go. Take this guy out. Grab a little torque wrench. And, ow, ow, those spikes hurt. Holy cow. All right, let them sit in a socket. There we go. And let's try and be precise on this one. There we go. 12.48, good enough. Boy, man, these things are sharp. Okay, our core is done. So next we got the compression knob. Right now, I just noticed that there is a seal on the inside right here. So this needs to get replaced. It's going to be a pain in the butt, I believe, to get this out and in. I wouldn't be surprised. So, okay. just down. Let's make sure we find the right one. So the O-ring goes in that seat right there, that large seat. So let's just take, this time, a little bit of grease, put it in that seat. Let's take the O-ring, stuff it in there, and make sure it doesn't fall all the way past that seat, or else you take the risk of it falling back in all the way. It's a bit tricky. You got to get it in the seat from the top and then place it into its fully positioned seated position. So there we go. So now it's in that seat. Now we try and tuck it. There we go. We just have a little bit left. Grab a flat pick. And make sure he goes in just like that. Good. Oh, there you go. Come on, nearly there. So much grease, I can't tell. In. Yep, he is in. Wait a second, is he in? Yep, he's in his seat. So again, the seat's, you have a lip up here and there's another lip out there. There's a seat right underneath that lip and that's where he goes. So we got the O-ring in, right? Now we have to put the knob back into its slot, into its socket here. So this is our compression side, right? So basically what's happening over here, this guy turns. So counterclockwise all the way open means he's open. Clockwise means he's closed, right? So right now it's in closed position, doesn't matter. The goal is that we want to align these two lines with these two lines. So the rod inside could sit inside here, right? And we want to make sure that the spring sits in here, right? When we put it in and it aligns just like that, right? So I'm going to take the spring, I'm going to put it in first. Put it in right first. Come on. Make sure he's sitting in like that, right? So I'm going to take this guy. Now, remember, we need to align it, right? So he's going to be somewhere there. Now, I'm going to press down on him. Okay. And basically screw him in. I'll do him by hand first. Okay. Always by hand. Getting a little bit harder now. Yeah. And now it's getting easy again, so there we go. Okay. Then when we're done, we torque them down to 10 Newton meters, 10.2 Newton meters already preset in here. And this really could use a chamferless socket much better than this chamfered because it doesn't help really. I don't have enough meat, so you got to be careful with it, right? So you don't strip anything. So if I hold down on it real well, see what I mean? Let's try that again. Okay. There we go. 10.2 on the nose. Cool. So this guy is in there. All right. So now it's a question of putting our dial in. Now our dial, again, we had him on the open, on the completely closed position, right? So he's going to land somewhere over here, basically. Let me just make sure. Yeah. So this guy's going to sit inside. There you go. That's all the way open now. And the thing is, he's easier to lock on when he's all the way closed. All right. So we got to take this guy, we got to put him on top, sit him in, put him just like this basically, hook him on essentially, put the screw part underneath the back, right, just like that. And he will sit in, if you get him right, actually. There we go. All right, and then we grab our 1.5 millimeter. We lock them in. There we go. Now we test them. 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. Look at that. Our compression is done. So now we pulled our rebound switch, right? So same thing. We have a little washer in here. We got to get rid of it. Change it out. We got to be careful that we don't sink it, or else we're going to have to open up this one too. Actually, it was pretty easy to open, and it was pretty dirty inside there. I probably should open this one. So, yeah. These are real small, and there's not a lot of room in here. There we go. Okay. So we match him. That's got to be this guy right there, I bet. Yep, same one. Put the old one away. Got the new one. Put some grease in the seat. The seat's near the top, right? So don't forget the seat is near the top. Put some grease on the O-ring. And basically try and fit them in the seat first from the top. Don't let them go past the seat. Okay. Just like that. Nope, was in the seat and he popped out. Come on, get in there. Come on. For crying out loud. There we go. So don't go past the seat. See if he goes past the seat, bring him right back up. You do not want him to fall all the way behind. Although opening him up is actually pretty easy and there's nothing in there really. Okay, so now he's in his seat, right? So now it's a question of tucking him in all the way around. What the? Oh yeah, he's nearly in. All right, I think we're in. Nope, nearly there. So close. Now we're in. Yep, so this one's in. All right, so the same thing here, right? Put the spring in, except this guy, he just basically snaps on. All right, so actually this guy's not held by the seal, the cap's held by the seal, my bad. Right? And then we take the other tool. Where are you? There it is. We take that special 4-prong tool here. Screw them down by hand, always by hand first. And now 10.2. 10.22. All right. Okay. And now basically this guy literally is held on by the seal. So let's see if there's a nice way, since I don't know if he's all the way turned on or not. Let's see if we could do it. It would be counterclockwise, so this would be all the way open. right? Yep, it's all the way open. That's the top of the shock. So let's say we'll leave them like that. There you go. And our controls are completely done. Now we work on assembling the rest of the shock. So again, the dials are optional as far as I'm concerned. You don't really have to do them, okay? If they're working perfectly, don't even bother, okay? But if you want to, you could go in there, clean it all out, put new seals, so on and so forth, right? So now we're going to continue on from the part where I had originally installed the seal on the inside of the top part of the head, but I took it out, remember, so I could clean out the whole thing, right? So this is part of the regular shock building process. I consider the control knobs and everything else an option. So we're going to take this guy, we're going to put him back in his seat, right? It should be right there. And roll him in. And he's going to be stubborn, I'm sure, just like they always are. Where is my... Okay, there he goes on that side. On this side, I can't see if he's all the way around. Nope, missing the side here. And let's push him down. There we go. He is in. All right, so we got that in. I had a token. I'm not going to put the token in this time. I'm going to leave it out for now. We have our shim, or our washout plate, whatever they want to call it. This goes in next, right? Then goes in our first bottom bumper. And put grease on it. Okay. First bottom bumper. Now, remember, we changed the seals on the inside here and here. The outside seals here, we're going to do later, all right? So the hollow part points up because this screws into the damper body, all right? Now, there is a tool you could use, a bullet tool, to make this easier, but you don't really need them. All right, so that's in there. Then we put in this washer here. Like a bumper and anything. Okay. And then we put in our shaft. And our shaft, he gets screwed in. Do them by hand first, always by hand. So you can't do them by hand anymore. Then we are going to use, I believe it was our 9mm. No, it was our 11mm, my bad. The 9mm was the other one, right? And we are going to torque them down. First, let me screw them down. This worked. Okay. And we're going to torque them down 9 Newton meters. Okay. There you go. He is done. Now, we're going to need this guy one more time. Now we got these guys. So remember, the shims go down. They sit on top of this, right? And then these guys sit on top. So to make life easier, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this and put it all in one shot. But my issue is I am going to be changing this entire mechanism here, basically, right? So to do that and make it the safest possible, because these guys, they stick together like this. Oh, it's amazing how they stick together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them right here. Open them up. Okay, now be very careful. Could you see them? Boy, my camera's too close. Let me readjust that. Like I said, we snip this open. Now we're going to take it. We're going to put it inside the hole as deep as you could go. And then slide in all the shims and washers first. Make sure they all go in. Hopefully you can see that well. One by one, they all slide in, right? There we go. So those guys are all in. So technically this whole thing is in. Now what I can do is remove this, right? And one by one, what I'm going to do is remove these and make sure I keep them in order as I take everything out. Only the top part. Okay, so this guy, be very careful with them. This is one shim. Technically what I can't do is just lift this guy. See, the problem is if you lift them, it'll take all the shims underneath. So you got to go underneath and pull the shims down. Look underneath, make sure there's no shims. And take him, turn him upside down if you want to make life easier. But again, they'll get stuck is the issue, right? So the best thing you can do is one by one, try and take them out and put them in order. A little hard with gloves, but see there's two shims there. You wouldn't know it, but they're there. All right, so 1, 2, and they're not the same size. The smaller one goes underneath, right? So let's take these two out. Okay. We'll leave him like that. Now we put this guy aside and we take the new one, put the new one in. These guys in just like that. Small one, put them in. Next one, put them in. Next one, put them in. Make sure they're clean. And then we have our nut. And we have a brand new piston with a brand new Teflon seal. Okay. Screw them down by hand first. All right. And 6.8 Newton meters to tighten them down for good. Come on. And again, that's with the 9mm. 5, 6, there we go, 6.82. Perfect. And that's it for our top assembly. So now for the bleed process. I do the bleed in 4 parts. First, I try and remove the air from the top part of the head. Then I connect the top part to the damper body. Then I try and remove the air from the internals with the damper body on. Then I use the piston to actually remove the air from the top part of the damper body and close it up. All right, now you're going to be needing some tools to do this, right? So one thing that comes in handy is a spare glove, rubber glove, nitrile glove, and a rubber band. A 5/16 by 24 thread bolt. Basically, unfortunately, Fox is a little bit different than RockShox. RockShox a little bit easier to do this, in my opinion. Fox, you have to put the pellet in that retaining bolt for the pellet. I'm not going to use that right away. I'm going to use a bolt to start the bleed process. And then at the end of the bleed process, I remove the bolt and use the IFP to bleed the top part of the damper and then close it up with the pellet and the retaining bolt, right? So again, 5/16 by 24 thread. Same bolt as the reservoir top cap, okay? Now, it's optional, but it definitely does help out. An IFP depth tool, depth setting tool, or you could just use a caliper, okay? This one just makes it a little bit easier as opposed to a caliper, which could get a little bit finicky, right? Because it could stick. Now, another thing that's super important is a magnetic screwdriver with, a magnetic driver with a 2mm Allen head or hex head, okay? Make sure it's magnetic. The stronger, the better, because basically we're going to be using this to put in the bleed screw when we're in the middle of the bleed process. This comes in handy, again, optional. Basically fill it up with oil, and we use this to sort of add oil into the shock during the bleed process. And again, this is optional, but super handy. tape. So you'll see how I use the tape. Essentially what I do is try and create a longer reservoir. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to bleed without making a huge mess. That's pretty much it for the tools. All right, let's get started with the bleed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shock back into the vise. Clamp it down good. All right, then we grab our IFP, remove the bleed bolt. Now there's going to be a seal, rubber washer, there you go, on the bleed bolt on the inside, right? And this we will want to replace. Find its match, should be that one right there. Yes, it is. Pull the old one out, and this guy right here. And we put the new bleed bolt or bleed screw back in. Actually, put a little bit of grease on them. Oh, too much grease. Always grease your O-rings. All right. And we put him on. Now him, we are going to leave on the side. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the reservoir. And you could do this by just pouring the bottle of oil in there. I'm just going to use this little bottle over here. It makes it a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner, right? So you get them from dollar store. So pack of 2 for $1. Well, technically $1.25 now. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to fill this up, fill it up slowly, right? And try and fill it up close to the top. And again, this is 5-weight oil. All right. Now let's wait for it, tap it. Chances are some is going to escape into the body at the bottom, right? Oh, I forgot to mention. Make sure that your knobs are in the fully open position. So counterclockwise, counterclockwise, okay? Fully open position for your compression and your rebound. That has to be fully open in order to continue, all right? You want to open up the system now so oil could go through the whole thing and occupy all the air pockets. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our rubber glove and we're going to put it over the reservoir. Take a rubber band, put it around the rubber glove, okay? Now here what we're going to do is basically start pressing the top part. Make sure it's like a drum on top, and we're essentially creating suction and vacuum. And the whole goal is to push the oil through the entire system and remove all the air up. All right, so just do it slowly like this. No need to go fast on this one. Slower the better. Back and forth, just keep on pressing in order to use vacuum and pressure to agitate the air and get it pushed up above the liquid. And basically, we're going to do this until we see oil coming out. I just hope my battery doesn't, or my camera doesn't overheat in the process. There we go. Now keep on doing this until we see a steady stream of oil and no air comes out. Okay. So I think we're pretty much there right now. Now what we can do is just turn the dials, just again agitate the system a bit, make sure everything is in the fully open position when you're done. So I'm just going to close it a little bit, then open it up. Again, close the compression, open it up, and do it again. There we go. We are looking real good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to push, and then we are going to block this hole. Okay, so push with this finger, and block the hole. All right. Make sure there's no air. I hear actually air escaping from somewhere. There we go. No more air. Now, here's the trick. You have to keep this port blocked now. Do not let go of your finger, all right? If you do, the system is going to want to equalize. Gravity is going to want to equalize everything, and we're going to get air back in the entire system. So now we could pull off the rubber glove, and we're going to take our IFP, okay? Now we're just going to put it in, but we're not going to put it in all the way. We only want to put it in about, let's say 10 millimeters max, right? Now, what we are going to do is put a towel over it, because as you try and put it in, air is going to want to come out. All right? So oil is going to want to come out. It's going to want to spurt all over the place. So basically just put it in. Make sure oil comes out just like that. Now put it in about 10 millimeters, give or take. Okay. There we go. Now we are underneath. And now we are going to close it. All right. There we go. Now you can let go of the top. All right. Now this is going to want to relax a little bit, but that's not an issue. So most of the air we know now is absolutely gone from the top of the air body, basically, right? We're nowhere near done. This is just part one. Next, we are going to attach the lower damper body onto the top half of the shock, right? So I did inspect the older damper body, and it was actually in good shape. Inside, it wasn't all that bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Outside, there was one or two chips. One of them, significant. The other one, not all that much. But we have a new one. We're going to use the new one, okay? So this is a shock, Fox. And, well, Fox has those pellets, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to start off by putting in a pellet, and the round side goes in, the flat side of the pellet stays out, right? So we're going to put it in, and we're going to take the bolt for now, okay? And basically, we're going to screw this in, okay? Just like that. Don't crank it down, but make it where no air could get inside, basically, okay? So we're going to put this on the side for now. I readjusted the camera. Hopefully we get a better angle when doing this part of the job. So I got some oil on top that I'm going to spill out. Okay. Not too worried about tap. So let's close this back up. We're going to take the top half of the shock and put it on the side for now. Let's just clean up the oil here. And since this is going to want to spill out later, I might as well get rid of it in here. So make sure there's no oil in this part. And this part we're going to top off before we put it in. So put this guy on the side. Make sure he's stable. There we go. All right. Oh, that's a bad idea, actually. In fact, I'm just going to put them right here. Perfect. Just make sure he's standing up, he doesn't fall over, basically. So now, I'm going to take our body, I'm going to put it in the shock. I mean, in the vise, just like this. Okay? Right. It's not what I want to happen, and it happened. Then I'm going to fill up the body with oil. We're going to fill it all the way to the top. Hopefully I have enough oil in here. Oh yeah, I got enough oil in here. All the way to the top. Now what you can do, because this can be a bit of a mess, right? Or this can make a bit of a mess. Grab a paper towel. Fold it, fold it, fold it. Take it, wrap it around. Just saves you from having to clean up oil all over the place, because oil is going to want to spill out the sides over here. All right. Just let it sit there. Great. Come on. Oh, for crying out loud. Come on, give me a break. Oh. should have cut the towel in half and done this. Especially with these blue ones, they're so much thicker. Okay, right? So if there's air bubbles on top, just tap them out, right? All right, so now we're gonna take our damper body, all right? You could use one of these things, or you could use the oil, the bottle of oil itself, right? And top off the whole top, inside here, everywhere. Completely top it off, right? Might seem redundant, but it's gonna spill out anyway, but ultimately it will work for us. And make sure this guy's cup filled all the way to the top, all right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this hole and we're gonna roll it. Now this is an odd angle for me because of the camera, but we're gonna roll it on top and close, and then this part here is what screws onto here, right? So we want it to roll, fit in, and start screwing as fast as you can so we lose the least amount of oil possible, okay? Don't grab it by the shock body, grab it by the head and by the top of the shock over here. You get better leverage, right? So, ready? 1, hopefully I don't run into the camera. 2, 3, go. Just like that. Put them in and screw. There we go. Okay. And should be in. And we grab our 22 millimeter and start screwing down. Yeah. I could do it by hand. Great. Grab our 22 millimeter. Screw them all the way down. Getting there. Yep, there we go. Okay. Then we grab our torque wrench, 27 Newton meters, crow's foot. Move this guy out of the way. Take him and 27.2. Bing. Our body is attached. Next, clean them up, clear all the oil off, and we are going to do the third portion or the third part of the bleed. Now to finish up with bleeding the top half of the shock, and then we will finalize with the bottom half, all right? So first things first, alcohol, paper towel. Make sure to completely clean all oil residue from the reservoir body. Make sure there's none on there, okay? We want it totally free of oil, and there's a reason for that. In fact, let me do that one more time. Completely free of oil. Then spray the table with alcohol and make sure there's a spot that's at least 6 inches wide that has no oil on it whatsoever. Okay. Why we did that? We're gonna grab tape, okay? We're gonna cut about a 4-inch piece, all right? And we're gonna take the nonstick part, we're gonna put it on the table. Then we're gonna cut another piece to equal length, all right? And we're gonna stick half of the bottom part to half of the top part, okay? Then we're gonna take the whole bottom part, the whole sticky part, and apply it onto the reservoir body. Why am I doing this? Oop. To give myself more reservoir space. All right, so I don't have to worry about overflow while I bleed. So now we're going to take out the IFP. All right. Remember, magnetic head, you absolutely want a magnetic head for this. We'll put that on the side, okay? Actually, that IFP, I should have put it in a little bit deeper before. Let me see if I can stick it in there quick. You want that IFP to be at least 5 millimeters in, if not more, okay? Because ultimately we are going to use the IFP to bleed the top half of the damper body. So now that I'm open, okay, what I can do is compress the damper up and down and remove any air bubbles from the system. Not sure how well you can see that in there, right? But let me see if I could readjust the camera so you can see what's going on here. A little tight, but gives you a better idea. So basically, as I press down, oil comes up. As I go up, oil goes back down, okay? Now we don't want to suck air in like I just did over there, right? Ultimately, we want to compress this thing till we're sure that there is no air in the system. So with the extra funnel, I could go higher than the reservoir allows without overfill, right? And I don't have the oil sticking to the residue or too sticky to the adhesive because we covered half of it. So going back and forth all the way down and all the way up. All right. Man, I'm getting like no air. Now, one thing is make sure that your dials are on the fully open position. What you can't do is agitate them a little bit, but always make sure they end up in the fully open position. Only agitate them just in case there's air stuck somewhere in a wall, right? So close it all the way, but then open it all the way. Okay. Make sure it's fully open, and we go up and down. Well, this guy's in good shape. Surprisingly good shape. This guy's fully open, fully open. This. Bring him back up. Slippery. All right. Now, I don't see any. There's some air right there. There we go. Bring him back up. Put a little bit more oil in him. So I can bring him back up all the way. Okay, he is all the way up. Let's bring him all the way down now. There goes a little bubble right there. Okay. All the way up. And just go up and down until you see absolutely no more air. See a little bubble just came out over there? There goes another one. There goes a few more. Those are all coming out from the shims and that whole area and the top half, really. All right. Okay. Force them out. You could do it hard and soft. Okay. One more. See, I'm pushing them hard now. See, it's great having that extra reservoir space. Look at all that. Other small ones. Just keep on going until you don't see any more. All the way up. Make sure he's all the way up. As you saw, there's a few other small ones. Nothing there. There's another little micro bubble there. Okay, camera overheated, I'm back, but I've done 5 full, if not 6 full cycles, and there has been not one air bubble. All right, so once you do about 5 cycles and you don't see any air bubbles coming out, then you know that you are pretty damn good over here. Okay, all the way down, all the way up. Okay, let's do one more just to play it safe. Yeah, we're good. I'm just gonna pull it all the way up. All right, so now we pull the damper the whole way up. Make sure the damper is completely all the way up to the max, right? Magnetic bit, put your bleed screw in here, put it inside, screw this guy down all the way. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's the actual IFP that's spinning. If the IFP keeps, if the screw seems like it keeps spinning, it's actually the IFP spinning. I totally forgot. So my bad. So this portion is done. Now we will empty out the excess oil. All right. And there we go. Now for the last part of the bleed. Let me readjust the camera. We are going to remove this guy here. Best way is to cut him with a scissor, actually, because this guy, unless you get lucky, and I'm not going to get lucky. Where's my scissor? Crying out loud. Grab a scissor, cut him. Oop, there he is. Grab the edge and take the whole thing out. We don't need him anymore. Great. I don't know why he's being so difficult. But the whole point is we use them as a reservoir. There we go. And that's the rest of them. Come on. And he did his job. Make sure you get the tape out. It fell inside. Jeez, man, look at that. What's the chances of that? Cool. All right. Empty out the oil that's in here, and we go on to the last part of the process. Now, this part over here, this is a me thing, right? I do it for RockShox piggyback style forks, and it works great. I've done it for Fox before, and it's not as, elegant, for lack of a better word, but it still works, right? We have all this covered. This is all sealed. We have vacuum inside the system, right? Ultimately, I never trust that we could bleed out all the air bubbles from inside the damper through the head just by cycling everything, right? So what I do is I set the IFP, and at the same time, I bleed the top half, okay? So unlike RockShox, we got the pellet in here, and we have to put in our set screw, basically, right? To, well, block the pellet and make sure no air leaks out. So right now I have this screw doing that, okay? So I could take this out and ultimately put in this guy here, okay? But it's a two-step process, or it's a one-step process. I have to do both at the same time, right? I want to take the IFP depth tool or my caliper, right? And press down, watch the oil come out, and then when I'm at the end, immediately put the screw back in order to lock it in place. real easy. It sounds a little complicated. It's really not. The only thing is, it's a little odd right now as far as how I'm positioned here. Okay, only because of this guy. So what I'm going to do is first set my IFP, which I've already done. In this case, for this shock, 1.5 inches. So we could take our caliper, which again, already preset, and we can measure it, make sure both surfaces are touching, and I'm touching, and that's exactly 1.5 inches. Okay, so, and in millimeters, that comes out to 38.11 millimeters. Okay, so let me just close this guy, put him on the side. So we know we're good here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy out. Okay, very careful, and I'm going to replace him with this guy. Now, oil's going to want to come out a little bit. No worries at all. In fact, I'm not even going to screw this guy in all the way. What I'm going to do is, well, let's move this guy to the side, is now take my IFP, all right, and press him in, and oil will come out. You know what I should have done? Let me screw this guy in first. Hold on. Let me put a towel around here because oil is going to want to come out. Stick a towel and put them around here to collect oil so it doesn't spill all over the place. All right. Now, I'm going to loosen this guy back up. I'm not going to pull him out, but loosen him up enough for the pellet to get pushed, the pellet inside to get pushed out and let air and oil to come out, right? So by doing this, I'm positive now that whatever air, if there is any air trapped at the top over here, it will come out. Okay, so I'm going to press down on my IFP. Come on. There he goes. Okay, now press down on him. See, oil's coming out, as you can see. Well, I don't know if you can see that actually, but oil's coming out. All right, I'm going to press down. Oil's coming out, oil's coming out, oil's coming out. See what I mean? Let's see if you can see that quick. So, oil's coming out, oil and air coming out. There you go. There we go. See what I mean? There is some air coming out. Look at that. There was air absolutely in it. Now it's oil, 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 oil. Nearly at the bottom. Once I get at the bottom, boom, tighten them in. Come on. Get in there. Why is it not tightening? Get in there. See, that's why I hate these. There we go. And we are good. Our IFP is in there. Perfect. And there was some little bit of air that actually came out. So now we know that we are sealed over here, tightly down there, and we should be absolutely fully bled. After you're done cleaning up the shock from finalizing the bleed, we need to finish up the reservoir. So for the reservoir, we're going to take a little bit of grease, just a little bit. You could use RockShox float grease, RockShox Fox float grease. You could use the blue stuff that you put inside air cans, slick oleum, slick honey. I'm using shrimp butter right now, right? Just a coat, nothing too big, nothing too thick. Okay, so then we grab our reservoir cap, thread it in, right? We had already changed the seal, so we're good there. And just roll it in there. Okay, then grab our retaining ring, put one side in first, clip the other side in, let it sit, pick up the cap, just like that, and we can unscrew cap. Then grab this cap, and he should go on relatively easy. For some reason, this guy is not wanting to cooperate. Why is he? Did I pull this all the way up? Okay, let's try this again. In fact, what we can do, put this guy here. I don't know why he's getting stuck on one side. He should go on much easier than that. Screw this guy here. Make sure the whole thing's up. This guy's not threaded right now. Come on. Nope, he is not threaded right. How did that happen? Make sure he's threaded right. Spin him backwards till you feel the click. There you go. And now spin him front. Okay, pull up on this guy to make sure that he is fully seated. And there will be a point where you just can't thread him anymore. He's going to turn the cap underneath him. And that is it. All right. Next, we have to put air in the reservoir. I will be back for closing up and filling up the reservoir with air, right? We need the pellet and we need the retaining bolt with the hole in the middle, right? Now the pellet, again, there's round sides and there's a flat side. Round side goes in, flat side goes up, goes to the top part, right? I swear I hate these pellets. So then we're going to take this guy here and we are going to screw him in, go all the way, and then take him out by a quarter turn to start with. All right. So we will be needing, again, our needle kit and a shock pump. Okay, be very careful with this needle kit. And I mean be very, very careful with it. This thing is sharp, sharp, sharp. It is a surgical needle. It'll go right through you. You will not even feel it. It'll just go right through you, right? So what we are going to do to make life easier is we're going to take, hopefully this will stay in frame well. Let me readjust the camera. Now, again, you had two options. You could use this tool, right, in order to insert the needle and then lock it down after you pumped it all up. Or you could use the Allen key that I had mentioned earlier. Where is it? Put it back, right. Sorry about that. The Allen key where you carve out, it's a 5/16 and you carve out a channel in order for the needle to go into the middle of the retaining bolt and insert through the pellet in order to fill up the air can with air, right? So I'm going to use my little tool over here. So basically, what we want to do is insert the tool, okay? Now we want to make sure that we are able to lock it. So we want to insert it enough where we could install the needle, pump up the air can, and then lock the nut, right? So take the needle, be very careful. Hold on a second, be very, very careful here. Take off the cap, okay? And we are going to take this guy and we are going to insert him in, boom, just like that. All right. So what you can do to make life easier over here, and I put the tape away too, great, is tape this guy down. Could you see my camera? Yeah, you can. Tape this guy down, and the only reason I put a towel over here is just so he won't rattle around and make a ton of noise in the camera, all right? So for one person, this is very doable, and the whole idea here is, let's dampen a little bit more sound, pump downwards, all right? So use the table as leverage, make your life easier. These are much easier than the inlines. The air pressure isn't as high. In fact, I totally forgot. Is it 150 PSI? I believe it's 150 PSI. Bear with me. I'll write this down. Yep, 150 PSI. That's what I thought. Whereas the inlines are 500 PSI, right? So let's go. We're aiming for 150 PSI, which is actually pretty easy. You don't need a lot of force for 100 PSI, 150 PSI. In fact, that's 75. That is 125. Oop, nearly there. And that's it. That's 150 PSI. So now we want to tighten the bolt and pull out the needle at the same time, right? One shot and pull back, right? And then we tighten it closed. That air coming out is from here, not from in here. And we are done. Close this guy down well. And he's done with. All right, let's test this guy on the dyno. So, fully opened. Yes, we are. Rebound and compression. Ooh, nice and smooth. Look at that. No noise, no sucking noise, nothing. Way better than before. Now, let's close them down. Oop, a little bit more pressure there. Now let's lock them out. Not a millimeter. Nothing. And I mean not a millimeter. Look at that. Before it was dropping probably close to a centimeter. Not one bit. So we know our compression's working perfectly. Now let's try a rebound. So I was fully open. Let's fully close them, see what's going on over here. All right. Oh yeah. No sucking noise, nothing. We'll bring them down. Now let's open them up. No, obviously there's no air chamber, but he will still want to naturally come up. There you go. This guy is perfectly bled. He sounds outstanding. Way better than before. Before he had a grinding noise inside. It's like way, way, way better. Cool. All right, now let's do the air can service. So from this point on, it's basically the average 50-hour air chamber service, right? Where we just change out the seals in the air chamber, put freshen up the oil in there or the grease, and we call it a day. So first we need to take out the wiper, and then much better doing this with a plastic. Come on, take out the inner quad-ring, put the old ones on top. I got the new ones here, and then we take out the seals. All right, just be very careful in here. Make sure you don't scratch any of the sides. So that's one seal, and then we do the other seal. There we go. Now, we clean the inside real well. Okay, let's take some alcohol, some towel, go in here. Now, here's one little tip. Underneath here, there's an actual, like a seat, right? All the way where my finger is down there. Make sure you reach in there all the way around. It's almost like a channel that goes all the way around. So, and dirt can't collect in there if it escapes through the wiper. See what I mean? Look, that's all dirt. So we definitely want to make sure it's all the way down in here, but inside in here basically, right? Make sure we get the channels, the seats, I should say. Channel seats, all the same, I guess, real well. Take some towel, corner it up, stick it in there, and then spin it just like that. Okay, do the same thing for the outside, just like this. Look at that. We're going to do that again until nothing comes out. We don't want that stuff escaping into the air can. All right, look at that. Look how much dirt came out. It's just from in the seats. That's what I'm saying, the one in here, you really got to be careful and do it. Okay, we're definitely getting better. Spray it down a little bit more and do it again until nothing comes out. Yep, that's good. Let's get a clean one. Do threads on the outside. Okay, this guy is clean. Cleaned out our air can, time to put in our new seals. All right, so first we're going to start off with this guy. I'm going to put him in the larger seat right there. Tuck him in real well. Okay. Oh, wrong one. I need the big one for crying out loud. Oh, I mean the small one. That's funny. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. All right. I was going to say that thing doesn't want to go in for nothing. Okay, nearly there. Get the backside. Come on. There we go. Ease in. So now we have seal, quad ring, and now the last small seal. Okay, and he goes on top of the quad ring. This one could be a little bit tricky because it does definitely get tight with space. Make sure I'm in frame. Don't break them, just tuck them in just like that. And he will pop in. There you go. Come on. Come on. A little bit of help there, and I'm done. All right. And then we put in our new wiper. Just like that. He is ready. We'll put him on the side. Now we change out these 3 seals. So we take them out, start with the quad ring. Actually, you can start with the split ring, if you can find the split ring. There it is. So these are split rings, right? There we go. Be careful, don't scratch your extensions. So that's the old one. Where's the other part? There it is. It's 2. Now we take out our quad ring. Again, be careful. Quad ring out. So now we put in our new quad ring. Let's put some fluid behind them, even though we're going to completely saturate them. Well, cover them with fluid later. Still, let's make sure he's got some behind him. Let's clean the inside here first. Okay. Put this guy on. Sure he doesn't twist on you. Put him on. There we go. Cool. He is in. Now we put split ring 1. Make sure they're seated on top of each other just like that, right? And then we go to split ring 2. So on top, make sure again he's seated properly. 1. Okay. On top of each other just like that. All right. Next, we close up the shock. Now let's close up the canister and finish this thing. So first we're going to put some Fox Float fluid on the seals at the end. Don't put too much. Just cover them all on the inside, right? Just like that. Then we're also going to put some, a good amount, in here. There goes that guy, right? Cover him real well. All right. Then we're going to take about half of what you see over here and put them on the inside. Just like that. A little bit more actually. All right. Rubber them around. How much we got left in here? Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy. We're going to slip him on. All right. Put them through. Put them in. And then we're going to put the remainder of the Fox Float fluid on the inside in here. Just like that. And put some on the shaft. Oh, you can't see the shaft. Anyway, I'm putting some on the shaft as well. All right. So cover the shaft. Cover them around the inside. Like I'll put a little bit more. Since I can't really see, I'm just filling them up on the inside of this side of the piston, the air piston. All right. Cool. Good enough. And now, grab a paper towel, wipe off all the grease you can. Now it's a question of jamming them in there. Use a paper towel for grip. All right. Oops. I need to tie this guy down a little bit more. I moved him so I get a better camera angle, but I didn't tighten him. Sorry about that. Okay. There we go. Put them in. And there we go. Screw them in. What you can do, take a tire strap, put them over, tighten them, give them a little nudge, nothing too tight. There we go. There we go. Next, we fill them with air. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I totally forgot to put in the Delrin balls. So, I hate these stupid things. Basically, take one of these balls, put them in flat jaws, press it against the edge. When you close the jaw, make sure it's touching only the ball. Not like that. Basically, when you close the jaw, make sure you're not touching the round part of the body, just the flat parts, right? So we're going to take them. Don't mind that cracking. That's actually a magnet that broke in there. Yep. This guy's going to prove to be a pain in the butt because it broke. For some reason, he's not sitting well. Okay, let's try that again since I got him in. All right. And just compress him in there. That is one. And now we have to take care of the other one. Again, such a stupid design. Why not just put a stupid bolt? How's RockShox able to get away with it? And Fox can't after all these years. It's just dumb. Sorry, Fox, but this is just stupid. It's just so not needed. All right. Grab Delrin bolt. Now this one's a little bit trickier. We do not want to damage the body. Put them up against him. Okay. And just lightly put him in. All right. If you see that, lightly put him in. Not too much pressure. And done. Boom. Now we fill them up with air. Okay, then I'll put them on the dyno one last time. Oh, it's not in. Thought it was screwed in. I was going to see what's going on over here. How's it possible? I'm going from 0 to 100 with one pump. Okay, that's better. So let's take it to 50 psi. And we'll cycle them in the dyno. I will be back. Ta-da! And there you have it. A fully serviced Fox Factory DPX2 Float Evol rear shock. She is looking good. I put her on the dyno. She is feeling good, and she is ready to go. Actually, we're not fully done yet. She's not going anywhere without a sag ring. Do not forget the sag ring. All right, guys? So, again, I wouldn't be intimidated by this job. It's not really a hard job. Personally, I find the piggyback style shocks easier to work on than the inline shocks. I just feel like I have more options when it comes to bleeding them, right? In order to be able to bleed them right. So I would definitely attempt to perform this on your own if you have one of these shocks. Just watch the video, follow the guide step by step, and I'm very confident that you will be able to get it done and ultimately save you a couple of $100. All right. So if you like the video, please press like. If you dislike the video, please press dislike twice. If click the subscribe button In order to see more videos, click the bell to get warned on when more videos come out, because I will be releasing more videos. All right. So until then, hope all is well, and we will talk to you later. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.